Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome all viewers. The phrase, La ilaha illallah, is the most important thing a human being can understand. Properly understanding it and living according to it leads to success in this life and ultimately eternal success in paradise in the hereafter. However, misunderstanding this phrase can prevent one from attaining such success. What this phrase actually means is that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah. And perhaps if we take a look at the Arabic, we can become a bit more familiar with this phrase. La ilaha illa Allah is often translated literally word for word as there is no God except Allah. And if we take a look at this word ilah, which is translated as God, this is a word that refers to something that is worshipped. So just to give you an example of how somebody can misinterpret and misrepresent this phrase, they might try to explain it as there is nothing worshipped except Allah. However, if you understand the Arabic language and you understand the Quran, it's very obvious that this is a false interpretation. In fact, Allah sent prophets and messengers throughout history explicitly because human beings do sometimes worship other than Allah. And because this is the worst sin, the prophets and messengers call them away from that and warn against that. Allah created us and created all of this, and He strictly prohibited that we worship anything except Him. Not only did He prohibit that we worship other than Him, but He commanded us to worship Him alone. So you'll find in the Quran, for example, a story about the people of Prophet Musa alayhi salam and his brother Prophet Harun alayhi salam. Musa temporarily left his people with Harun, and during that time, those people took a statue of a golden calf as an object of worship. They took it as an idol and worshipped it, hence it was referred to as an ilah. Allah tells us, then He took out of the fire for them a statue of a calf which seemed to low. They said, this is your ilah, and the ilah of Musa, but he has forgotten. But think for a second, is a statue worthy of worship? Can a statue actually do anything for us? No. Allah tells us, did they not see that it could not return them a word for answer, and that it had no power either to harm them or to do them good? And Harun alayhi salam indeed had said to them beforehand, O my people, you are being tried in this, and verily your Lord is Allah, the most gracious, so follow me and obey my order. So what is Prophet Harun alayhi salam doing? He's calling them away from worshiping other than Allah, and calling them to worship Allah alone. The point being is that there are people who worship idols and statues. And in the Quran, we find idols, statues referred to as ilahs. A human being can also be worshipped as an ilah. For example, there are people who worship Prophet Isa alayhi salam, Prophet Jesus. But Allah tells us in the Quran, and remember when Allah will say on the day of resurrection, O Isa, Jesus, son of Maryam, did you say unto men, worship me and my mother as two ilahs, two gods besides Allah? He will say, glory be to you. It was not for me to say what I had no right to say. Had I said such a thing, you would surely have known it. You know what is in my inner self, though I do not know what is in yours. Truly you, only you, are the all-knower of all that is hidden and unseen. So Isa alayhi salam, Jesus will deny that he told anyone to worship any other than Allah. Isa continues, I said not to them except what you commanded me, to worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord. And I was a witness over them as long as I was among them, but when you took me up, you were the observer over them, and you are over all things witness. And just to give one last example, people can even take their own desires as an ilah. Allah tells us in the Quran, have you seen him who takes his own lust, his own vain desires as his ilah? So the point of going through these verses and translations is just to show you that at first glance, you might see a definition, a translation, an interpretation. But when you actually delve into the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the proofs and evidences that come from the revelation that Allah sent, that's how you can really get a true understanding of what is meant, what is intended, the true meaning, the true definition. The true meaning of La ilaha illallah is that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah. There's nothing worshipped in truth except Allah. And just like people can misrepresent the meaning of La ilaha illallah, they can also misrepresent things related to La ilaha illallah. And although this is a very deep topic, I want to keep this video short. So the last thing I'll mention is that the truth of Islam is always balanced in between two extremes. There are people who go to an extreme in belittling La ilaha illallah, to the extent that people might be actually devoting clear acts of worship to other than Allah, and they'll act like it's okay. They'll act like it's not a big deal. But then you have another group of people who go to the opposite extreme of falsely claiming that people are worshiping other than Allah when they're not. People who falsely make takfir and say that they're no longer Muslims because they fall into certain things that actually don't take them outside the fold of Islam. And sometimes they will weaponize and politicize that in very dangerous ways. So it's important to stay balanced, and it's important to seek knowledge. We understand all of these issues according to the revelation that Allah sent us, the Quran and Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah knows best. May Allah always guide us on the straight path. Thank you for watching. JazakumAllahukhairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.